Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 8 of Soulful Branding Live with Lulu. So, the last Soulful Branding course of the year has kicked off, and I'm in that mode where I'm revisiting and thinking about all the course content. I'm actually doing the course myself and doing all the exercises again because they're a great opportunity to review what's working, what can be improved, and what needs to be let go. So, in thinking about whether my brand is still expressing what I want it to, I have to look at all the materials that are an expression of my brand and all the spaces or platforms where my brand has a presence and a voice. So, all of these are opportunities to connect with my ideal clients and customers. So, I need to ensure everything is in place to facilitate that attraction and that engagement with them. So today, I want to share how you too can ensure that you're properly loving on all your materials and platforms, which are also known as touchpoints. So this episode is titled Loving on Your Touchpoints. No innuendo. All right, so if this is your first episode, I'd like to quickly introduce myself. My name is Lulu Kitololo. I'm an artist, designer, brand consultant, festival organizer, and I run a business network for women. So the thread that runs across all these things is my belief that creativity can change the world. So I'm really passionate about inspiring people to embrace creativity in designing the lives and businesses they desire. So in 2017, I launched the Soulful Branding Challenge, an online course designed to help people find their voice, find their tribe, and deliver to them the special magic that only they can. And since then, concepts from the course, concepts around soulful branding are things that I'm experiencing and observing every day. And this series exists to explore some of those. So I wanted to begin talking about what touch points are and why they're important. So your touch points are all the different ways in which people can interact with your brand. So whether in real life, this could be anything from one-on-one conversations to events and more, as well as online, which can include websites, social media, apps, and more again. So often we'll dedicate a lot of time to creating or setting up our touch points, but it's then easy to neglect them once they're there. I am guilty of this too. But it's a missed opportunity because that's how people get introduced to our brands. That's how people learn more about us and what we're doing. That's how they discover how what we're offering is beneficial to them. And that's how they eventually sign up for our services or buy our products. So in episode 6, I talked about how it takes a person 5 to 20 touches or interactions with your brand before they make the decision to buy. So ensuring your touch points are on point to entice, provide value, and convert interested parties into clients and customers should be a business priority. So I'm going to share a menu of touch point ideas along with some thoughts as to how you can love on each of them a little more. So touch points can include direct or one-on-one interactions. So things like phone calls or Skype or WhatsApp calls, emails, all of those. Now, things to consider include, with phone calls, consider your phone manner. If you have scripts or templates for certain calls, think about the copy. Is it on brand? And if you don't have scripts, it's something to consider. If there are certain calls that you make regularly, it will just make your whole life more efficient, and it helps with delegation too. So if you have people making calls for you, make sure that they're on brand. What's the tone of voice? How do they greet? And so on and so forth. Consider also your email manner. So in the same vein, the tone and personality of your emails. Consider having a professional email address with your own domain as opposed to just a Gmail. It just gives a first impression that you are serious about your business. And make the most of your email signature. Use it to invite people to discover your site, to highlight any current promotions or upcoming events. You can use it to celebrate wins such as press mentions, and so on and so forth. So your visual identity itself is also a touch point. And when I talk about your visual identity, this includes things like your logo, the fonts that are associated with your brand, the color palette, the imagery style, and so on. I think I'll do an episode solely dedicated to that. If that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments. So when considering all these elements of your visual identity, ask yourself, does it reflect what you want to be known for? And if you want some tips on that question of what do you want to be known for, check out episode 1. So your messaging is also a touch point. This includes the tone of voice you use in your language, in your speech, your tagline, your elevator pitch, your key messages, and all the copy that you create for your brand. So ask yourself if these things reflect the personality of your brand. Do they sound like you? And that's a really easy way to measure. If you're reading something and it doesn't sound like you, then you need to tweak it so that it does, because it's all about being authentic, being yourself, and letting people connect with who you are. So there are digital touch points, and there's so many opportunities here with more coming up all the time. So there's your website, your social media presence, your email marketing, apps, if you have some for your business, infographics, and more. So when it comes to your website, some things to consider include your URL, is it on brand, the design of your website interface, the copy that you're using, the images that you're using, and the whole user experience, how people flow from page to page, from section to section. When it comes to social media, there are a lot of things to consider too. So first of all, the choice of platform that you're showing up on. And by platform, I mean, for example, Twitter is one, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So, choosing a platform that's on brand and one that makes sense for your target audience. The ID or profile name that you choose. Your profile picture, is that on brand? Your cover photos, your bio is a huge opportunity to kind of nurture your prospects and your existing clients and customers. So, checking that touch point is doing the most. And your bio, similar to your about page on your website, your bio is where most people will go. So I know it's usually very short, but make the most of that. So also with social media, consider your participation beyond just your own pages or feeds. Which groups are you showing up in, and are you adding value to those communities? You might even start your own community or group to build a community around your brand, which can be really effective at building relationships, research, learning more about your clients and customers. With email marketing, which you guys know I love, consider how you're creating value with each email you send. How are you making it worth the reader's while to stay subscribed to your list? And what small touches are you including to pleasantly surprise and delight? And really importantly, do you have a clear call to action? Because with all this content that we produce, it's always a missed opportunity not to have a call to action at the end of it. Even if it's simply, for more, check out this other post, or, whatever that could be. Just challenge yourself to have a call to action so that content is again doing the most. So there are a multitude of touch points in real life too. So they're the obvious ones like your business collateral. So this might include business cards, letterheads, compliment slips, flyers, leaflets, brochures, presentation templates, pop-up banners. So a variety of things there. If you sell products, your displays, your packaging, all of those are also touch points. So you can think about how you can use them to delight, to engage, to nurture, to really express your brand and connect with your ideal people. So there are also things that we might not often consider, such as our personal presentation. So the way we dress can also speak to our brand. It can tell people things about us. The physical spaces in which we conduct business can also express something about our brand. So it could be your office or your shop. But even if you don't have your own brick and mortar space, the places in which you choose to conduct business or to meet people count also. So pay attention to those choices, pay attention to the appearance of spaces and the moods that they evoke. If you go back to that question of what do you want to be known for, let the spaces in which you work and conduct business reflect that. So events, meetups, and other experiences that you create for your business are touch points too. So consider everything from the venue, the setup of the space, refreshments maybe, the sound, the ambience. All of these things are communicating something. And if you belong to any networking groups or you visit any networking groups, your presence there is also a touch point. So just consider how you're showing up in that space. Don't be that kind of mopey person who has a resting bitch face or whatever it is. Think about how you're showing up, how you're presenting yourself in those spaces. So remember, this is just a menu of ideas. There's so many more. And by no means should you feel obligated to have every single one of these things for your business. The maintenance of many just wouldn't be sustainable unless or until you have the massive workforce to match. So pick the ones that make the most sense for you. If you're having trouble narrowing things down, some things to think about are, how does my ideal client or customer like to interact, or where do they like to hang out? Another thing to consider is, where do I show up best, or how can I best present my brand? Maybe you know that you need visuals to create impact, or maybe you know that it's in your words that you're going to create impact. So you can choose materials and channels that suit those types of content. Maybe you know that in person is where you really express yourself best. So maybe you need to think about having regular meetups, events, or showing up at other people's. So really think about that. And then the third thing to help you narrow things down is, what's sustainable for you to maintain? With what touch point can you be regular and consistent? So once you've picked your priority touch points, I recommend scheduling in a regular review to make sure everything is relevant, up to date, and as good as it can be. I was guilty of not doing this, but it's something I'm consciously challenging myself to do. So I'm currently doing my reviews monthly, but I'd really like to work up to weekly as soon as I have the capacity to sustainably do so. So during your reviews, here are some things that you could check. And I often will do like a checklist for myself, just so, well, one, to get the satisfaction of crossing things off, but also just so I remember. And once you do a checklist once, it makes every subsequent review much easier, because you're not having to take so much brain power and thinking, what else do I need to check? Oh yeah, and this and that and the other. So here are some things for you to consider checking. So one is everything on brand, messaging, visuals, tone of voice. Are those things on brand? Another thing to check, if you're highlighting or promoting something, if it's a touch point that allows that, is that thing that you're promoting or highlighting timely, and is it in line with your goals? Because if it's not, then why are you doing it? So sometimes we need to give ourselves that tough love, and because there's so many things, and I think all of us watching this are very passionate about what we do. So we get excited and there's so many things we want to do, but just ask yourself, is this in line with my goals, or could I be spending this time and energy and creativity elsewhere? So another thing to check, is your call to action clear? Have you made it easy for people to take the action that you want them to take? So if you don't have a call to action, I really challenge you to include one. People really like being told what to do, and they're often happy to follow instructions. So trust that and give them something to do. Another thing to ask yourself, can you refresh your images? You know, if it's easy to do so, because, you know, visual interest, dynamism, that's gonna engage people. Are there any tech updates you can take advantage of? So for example, lately I noticed there are new features being added to Facebook pages all the time. Are you taking advantage of things that could enhance your presence and increase engagement? So, you know, when there are updates, if it's, you know, apps and social media, etc., that you're using, when there are updates, you know, get informed, see if there's something you could be using or, you know, integrating or implementing that can help you with your goals. And then another really simple one, just checking if your links are up to date, if your contact information is up to date. That's something you can review as well. So these are some of the things that I could think of. I would love to hear any other ideas that you have. What else do you review, or what else do you think you could review? Let me know in the comments. And also, if you have any questions about this, do let me know in the comments as well, and I will do my best to answer them. So thank you so much for listening today, guys. I hope that was useful. I hope you feel empowered to give all your touch points some love, and do share them with me and with this community. So stay tuned for episode 9 next week. It will be at a different time, 1 p.m. East Africa time instead of the usual 3 p.m. So until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you. Bye.